Call me out, tiger. Call me out, why don't you love? Lift me up higher above the clouds, won't you love? When the scenery is right, go right in. I wanna fall deep within. Don't leave me hanging just 'cause I'm too proud.
Hi guys, and welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to be giving you a full tour of our barn and, more importantly, our now completed tiny home.
Before the family and I take you inside to the tiny home, I want to give you a quick little rundown on the actual pole barn that we built the tiny home in itself. It is a 64 by 40 foot long building. It has 14-foot high walls. We took the full length of the tiny home, the width of the building, so it is actually 40 feet long and 16 feet wide.
So why put in a pole barn before doing anything else? When we were talking about this transition, Jeremy and I decided that it was really important to have the barn first. We were leaving our 3,000 square foot house and we were moving into this 250 square foot trailer that you see behind us. So that meant that all 6 of us needed to have a place to put our stuff.
Yeah, it just made our entire living situation a lot more comfortable. Being in a trailer is not ideal, but having it be outside and the elements dealing with the wind, the rain, the snow, and the hot sun in the summertime just isn't ideal. So having this thing set up in here made a world of difference for us.
Yeah, especially when it came to the construction of the tiny home itself. We were able to buy supplies, insulation, lumber, all of our tools, and have them protected inside.
Yep.
And then we were able to work rain or shine, which
Indeed.
is really nice.
In addition to that, long term, we always knew that we actually wanted a pole barn on the property. So regardless of whether or not we were actively going to be using it and living in it, it's going to be nice to have this space once we actually transition and move over to the main house.
Yeah, once we start building our main house, being able to store pallets of lumber in here and not worry about them getting rained on is going to be huge.
Indeed.
So enough being said with the pole barn itself. We want to take you guys inside the tiny home and show you what we've been doing for the past 7 months. Welcome inside our tiny home. So this is the main part of the tiny home. It is our great room. It's just a living room kitchen combo. Originally, I was going to put the kitchen where our master bedroom is and have it in a corner all by itself. But then it's such a small space. It is 100 square feet per person. We have 6 people. So it's a small space for 6 people and we wanted just a really open concept. So we went a little bit higher with the ceilings and then we just kept the kitchen on one full back wall and the living room on the opposite wall. So when we're all in this room, it actually feels and looks a lot bigger than it is.
So Melissa and I did build a tiny home. We did not, however, build a pole barn. We had a builder actually come in and take care of that for us. So the builder went ahead and used these very simple, basic single pane windows. Because of that, we had some concerns with how it is that we were going to keep this place warm in the winter. For that, we turned to the wood stove that we actually took from our old house back in Washington State. This thing is a beast. It is way too big for this tiny little living space. Our old house, again, was 2,100 square feet. This still managed to keep that entire place warm. In here, it gets so warm oftentimes that we have to crack the windows because we'll do one fire early in the morning and then one usually in the early evening, and the temperature in here is usually well above 80 degrees. To help get the warm air circulated throughout the tiny home, we use this radiant heat fan that does a great job. And then on the back side here, you can see that we purchased some old reclaimed material. This actually came off of an old building. It's just some metal siding. It's a little rusted. It's a very unique in appearance. We love it. We really think that it ties this whole room together, especially since all the rest of the materials that we use in here were brand new.
So when we were planning the tiny home, my #1 focus was on the kitchen. I love cooking and baking and canning, and we have 6 people to feed, all of which are getting bigger. So we make a lot of food in here. So it was all about being able to fit full-size appliances in here and have a lot of counter space. In the trailer, I had this much counter space. No kidding, it was pretty awful. So counter space was my main concern, and then a lot of storage as well. So we decided to go with an L-shaped kitchen. That way we could follow the entire perimeter of that part of the tiny home without having the kitchen go into the actual open living space that we needed. So with the countertops, we ended up extending it out as far as we could go and just using these supportive legs. And then instead of using under cabinet storage, which is very precious to me, we went ahead and made a space down here for the garbage can and my small vacuum, which I love. I love that vacuum. Go ahead and get yourself one of those. Then we had room for a microwave. Microwaves are very important for busy families because the kids can take leftovers. If I just make a really big dinner, pop them in there, feed themselves something healthy during the day while we're working. We also do not have a dishwasher inside the tiny home, so we are hand washing dishes. A lot of dishes comes with 6 people. So we've got our dish drying rack and a full-size farm sink, which is great. Underneath here, we've got just our cleaning supplies, all of our first aid, medicine, things like that. So I like to have a lot of under storage. We do have some stuff stored in the barn, but I want everything to be really close by. I have this really weird thing about having a junk drawer. It runs in my family, so I needed a whole drawer for my junk. I don't know, when a family doesn't have a junk drawer, I don't know where they keep things like random paper clips and 5 things of tape.
I refer to it as a crap drawer, but that's just me.
It's a junk drawer and it's necessary.
I hate that drawer.
So under here, these cupboards, although these were the cheapest cupboards that Home Depot sold, and you can tell because they're kind of lopsided and we don't sit on them or anything like that, they do the job and they were really nice and big inside. My one complaint on these is that the second shelf doesn't extend all the way, and I don't really understand that. It does kind of cut into the space. But as you can see, I brought everything in, all of our cooking appliances, and we still have plenty of space. We didn't even half fill these cupboards, which is awesome. It was really exciting to get an oven back. The oven in the trailer, it works, but it only works from a propane flame from down below, so it absolutely burned everything we tried to cook in there. So getting just a regular stove and oven back was huge. It was so exciting just to be able to bake bread again after 7 months. So we got our full-size oven and stove. I only had 2 burners in the trailer. Getting the 4 burners back is massive. And when I built this L-shaped counter, it was all about having a lot of pan storage. So this is a blind corner cabinet. It helps us make the corner, but it also goes all the way back. So I can store all my cast iron down there, all my canning pots, all of my pots and pans and lids, everything. It goes all the way back to the wall, which I love. This counter is made for canning in mind. So I can have all of my cleaned mason jars here. I can be scooping it up. I can be putting it back in the pressure canner or the water bath or whatever it is. We do a lot of canning. We do usually a couple hundred quarts a year. So it was all about just having a nice countertop for canning, which I cannot wait to do. We only did 1 overhead cupboard, but it does fit all of our cups and bowls and plates and everything like that. And then it's pretty cool. We've got, these drawers are nice and big. We're able to fit all of our silverware, all the other normal stuff. This is just kind of a little utensil drawer. The blind corner allows for you to have drawers that come out both ways, which is great. And then underneath is just all of our Tupperware. And as you can see, we have a lot of space. So it's great. I mean, I thought that we weren't able to fit very many counters in here and very much storage space and cupboards, and we actually got way more than we even needed. So going with the whole theme of full-size appliances, we went ahead and kept our fridge. Luckily, our buyer didn't want our old fridge and freezer from our old house, so we were able to take it with us. And that just allows us to only have to go into town once a week. We can fit lots of gallons of milk in here, lots of fruit, veggies. I can pre-make stuff that the kids can just heat up in the little microwave. So this has been a huge godsend. When we were only using the little RV fridge, we were running into town and getting food like every 2 or 3 days because it just didn't even store half a gallon of milk. So love having this back. And then I did give up the space that I was thinking of using for a small table and chairs and instead put in a full-size pantry. This is really cool. We got this from Home Depot too. It's nothing fancy. I think it's actually supposed to be for like garage storage, but We use it as a pantry. It's great. The biggest pantry I think I've ever had. So again, it just saves us trips into town. It's an hour to and from town, so not having to go every couple days is great.
So music is a big part of what our family does. Not all of us are musical. It's more so just Nevaeh and Kira. If you see Nevaeh's channel, what's your channel on YouTube?
Nevaeh Souza on YouTube.
We'll add a link to our video, but go check her out. So Nevaeh plays piano. It was important for us to have the piano here in the tiny home. She spends a lot of time here. It's something she's very passionate about, right?
Yes.
And our youngest daughter, Kira, is as well. It's great to see this thing here. It came from our old house. It's a very important thing to our family, and it fills our home with music, which is great. Here in the middle of what is our great room in the tiny home, we were actually able to fit a full-size sectional couch. So we have 6 members in our family. It was important to us that everybody has a spot to sit down and relax in. We can also actually lay down on the couch after a long day's work, which is huge for us. It sounds weird, but after living in a trailer for 6 months, it was something that's just really important to us. Also, to go along with that, we have a little entertainment center kind of set up. We're not real big proponents of watching television, but the kids admittedly do spend a lot of time just kind of sitting here vegging out, sometimes watching YouTube videos, watching DVDs. And again, it was very helpful in this process as far as Melissa and I getting work done around here. The kids could entertain themselves, and it wasn't always something that we had access to when we were living in the trailer. We had to get the generator fired up. There's just a whole long drawn out process to keep them entertained. So to have this back, although again, we're not huge proponents of television watching, I will admit it is kind of nice to have. All right, let's go off to where the magic happens, huh?
In here is our small but mighty master bedroom. So inside the trailer, we had a very low ceiling and a very small bed. It was a full-size bed in there. So getting our king-size bed back from home, just having our mattress back was amazing, and being able to sit up in bed and not whack your forehead. We also brought our television from home. Jeremy and I, at the end of a long workday when the kids are sleeping, and now that we can shower and get clean and get into bed, we love to Netflix and chill at night. I know that's a very common thing for a lot of couples to do. It's just a special time in my day. I love it. So one thing that we had to really figure out in here was storage with clothing. We did bring our dresser from home. It's a his and her dresser, but we only have about a foot from the bed to the drawer, but it actually works out just fine. We're able to open up all the drawers, but you do have to be on the bed in order to do that. So it's a little weird, but we do not have a closet in here, so we just went with these cheap rolling closet bars. This is basically what you would see at I don't know, a fashion show or something like that. It's just a closet bar on wheels. Works just fine. When we moved, we got rid of probably 90% of our clothing. So we have much smaller amount of clothes, so it works really well. And then there's a rack underneath. So I just took some of these bins. We've got the bins underneath. Jeremy stores his 554 ball caps in there. And then that's just pretty much our camera equipment and everything else. So if you want to see our office for YouTube, it's these little storage bins down here.
Professional.
So professional. And this right here is our editing studio. The reason that our bedroom is a little bit smaller than the kids' room is because we actually share our stretch of the pole barn with the bathroom as well, which I will show you next. So here is our tiny little bathroom. It's about 5 feet wide, which actually surprisingly fit just about everything that we needed in here. This was by far the hardest room in the house to build because we had a lot of plumbing to do and we were dealing with working on a slab. So we've had a lot of questions, why on earth is your shower floor a foot off the ground? The reason being we were building on an existing slab, so all of the plumbing for the shower had to go above the slab but underneath the shower and have the proper slope. So this is the size floor that we needed for it. So our drain line and all of that goes out of the pole barn is underneath here. This vent here allows us to actually monitor all the plumbing so we can see if we have any drips or leaks, or if we need to work on it, we're able to just reach our hand under there and we can do that. So this comes off, which is really neat. And it also allows all the heat from inside the tiny home to go down under where the floor is and keep our plumbing nice and warm. So probably all of our favorite part of this entire tiny home, something that we just finished up this week, is a full-size shower with unlimited running hot water for 8 months. We were very briefly and not very often showering inside the trailer. We would get like 2-minute showers each, and they were usually like lukewarm. They weren't great. So having just the ability to shower again and be able to just stand in the water and shave with the water running is such a beautiful thing. We built this shower using vinyl plank flooring actually, and it has been working out beautifully. So we're really happy with it. We're very excited. One thing that you may notice is missing in this bathroom is a toilet, which is usually what you would imagine you would see inside a bathroom. We have a composting toilet here. We only have a gray water system for our septic, so we cannot do a flushing toilet inside the tiny home. But we didn't really want to have that inside our living space, so we actually ended up moving that out to our utility room, which we will show you in a bit. But we instead put a full-size hamper, our garbage can, and then we got a full-size vanity here. It's got all of the storage that we need for our whole family. We utilized all the racks that we had from our trailer, and actually we're able to store everybody's stuff under there. It's kind of a mess, ignore that. So for towel storage, since we don't have a linen closet inside the tiny home, we just got this cheap little white shelf. It fits perfectly in the space without blocking our outlet. We're able to put all of our towels there. We've got the over the door towel hanger for wet towels, and this little space treats us just fine.
Okay, we're gonna head over to the big room in the tiny home now, and that actually belongs to the kiddos, so hopefully it's not too big of a disaster. We had to get them to try and get things cleaned up so we could make this video. Let's see how it turned out.
New building. Really? Is that our tiny home?
So not only do the kids have the biggest room, they also have the bedroom with the nicest view.
So when designing the kids' room, we had to figure out how to put 4 kids, 2 genders in one space. So we ended up doing girls' dressers and boys' dressers. These dressers are falling apart because there's so many clothes in them. But this is the boys over here, this is the girls, and then we're just utilizing the same little bins that we were using in the trailer. They're great for storage up above. But with little kids comes a lot of toys. So they went through and picked out their favorite toys. We actually found when eliminating 80% of their toys that they play a lot more now that they have less, and it's all nice and organized. So we kept all of the cars and Legos and trains and farms and art stuff, all the stuff that they really like and they can get creative with, and these are their toy bins. So they are in charge of keeping their toy bins organized and clean. I give them a C+ at that. But with all of their clothes that don't fit into dresser drawers, we actually found just these little, it's kind of industrial looking piping. I actually wish I had got this for our room too. I like it so much better. It's really cute, it's really strong. All of their clothes are hung up and out of the way. And so we went with full over full bunk beds. These bunk beds will actually become the boys' bunk beds when we move into the big house. I think Nevaeh is going to be taking over the tiny home since she'll probably be 17-ish when the house is built. So she probably won't ever live in the big house. This will become, she'll probably keep this room as her room and then make this her own little house. It's just right across the way from ours. So it's kind of perfect for giving her her own space, which she will very well deserve after sharing a room with her 3 little siblings for a year or 2. So Nevaeh's got the top bunk, her full-size bed. Our 2 littles share the bottom full-size bunk. They have slept together since the time that Eli was born. They just like to be together. So even in our old house, we actually had a bedroom for every single child, and they all slept together on one mattress every night. Even when we forbid them from leaving the rooms, we would get up in the morning and they'd all be on one mattress. So Kaimani's bed, really cool. We got just a tundrel system. You could either do drawers or you can actually have a pull-out bed. So his full-size bed just pulls out right from underneath the little kid's bed, and so he pulls that out at night. He's got his own space to sleep on, and then it pushes in to give them some floor space so they can do their Legos or their farm or whatever it is that they want to play with. So even though this room is small, it's all about just making sure that you utilize every single space.
Okay, so that is the kids' room, and with going over that, that's pretty much the entirety of the actual tiny house interior. So now we're gonna head outside. We'll show you guys the utility room, and then we'll take you up to the loft and give you a glimpse of what that looks like. All right, so this is our utility room slash laundry room slash room for the water heater slash bedroom for our cat and dog. It is a heated space. We actually got this built in a single day. at least the walls and the ceiling and all that. So we'll head on inside and we'll check it out. So you can see we have a very basic setup in here. It's basically just a big cube with some insulation. But let me tell you, having a lock on the door and having your bathroom set up and indoors in a heated space, again, life-changing. So we have our composting toilet set up in here. No more frozen butt cheeks. It's been really nice. If you're a follower of the channel, you know that we've been kind of using the bathroom out in a little tent. We refer to it as the cone of shame. Now we kind of have the cube of shame, but hey, at least it's private and it's warm. Massive upgrade there. Cat and dog, Kenji and little Mabel here, have their bed set up. They have a space heater that stays running in here in the winter months. It's really nice. They are greatly appreciating that. Set up next to Kenji's nice warm bed is our water heater. This thing has been massive for us. When we were living in the trailer, we had a very small water heater, which meant that we had to be constantly conscious of our hot water consumption. We would oftentimes run out. That's no longer the case thanks to this bad boy. Our crappy washing machine, old Bessie, is still up and running. We have her screwed together. She's holding on. She's holding on for dear life. But you know what? She makes clothes clean. That's all we need her to do. So she's been set up in here. It's been so nice not having to lug this thing back and forth. If you're a follower of the channel, you know we were doing laundry out in the middle of our field. We had this thing set up on a hand truck with a strap around it to keep it mobile. Huge pain. This is much better. Next to that, we have our dryer set up, which means we no longer have to hang clothes up outside and hope that it doesn't rain. Again, massive upgrade for our family having this thing set up in here. So although it's tiny, this room improves our lives greatly. So glad to have everything it is that we do have in here. Let's take you outside and show you what's going on in the loft. Here we are at the bottom of the loft. We're on the floor in the pole barn.
We're on the floor.
We're gonna make our way up to the loft though. We don't have stairs that have been put in as of yet. We are currently planning on getting that done. That's gonna be our next big building project on the list.
Yep.
So in the meantime, we're using the ladder that you see here behind us to make our way up and down. It's kind of a pain. Melissa's mastered it at this point. So.
Yeah, I mean, well, I figure you just hold on or you might fall to your death. But with the loft, it was really important to us because one of our hesitations with building the tiny home at all was losing the space in the pole barn. We built the barn the size that we wanted for an actual barn. And then when we talked about building out a third of it to live in, it really cut into that space. So by putting up an actual storage loft, we did 2x12 so that it was just extra strong. It was the hardest part of the build for me, just physically. That was super hard, but it's really nice to have because we didn't lose any of the space now. We still have all of that storage space up above.
Yeah, we actually use the trusses as well. We have a bunch of lumber that's been tucked away up there, which has been huge. So down the road, once we kind of get things cleared out here, we may use this loft. There's always been the plan to use this loft to store our hay. Right. In the meantime, it's just construction materials is what we have up there. So let's head on up in. Let you guys take a look. Here we are, we made it up to the loft. One of the biggest drawbacks to actually being 6'3", 5'9" is that when we're up here, we end up having to bend over or squat down because there isn't a ton of headroom. You can see that the bottom of the trusses are set pretty low, which is unfortunate. However, it was more important for us to have the higher ceilings down in the tiny home and lose a little bit of space up here because it is such a small space.
And because we are so tall.
And because we're so tall. Well, we thought that having the higher ceilings would make the tiny home feel just a lot more open and bigger than it actually is, which is the case.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as you can see behind me, there are a ton of scrap building materials that have been left up here, stored up here. We have a mountain of insulation. We have a ton of shiplap scraps. We have some treated 2x4s. There's some additional lumber that you can't really make out back here, but it's been nice to have. I've climbed up here on a number of occasions to find some materials just to fill in spots here and there while working on the tiny home and working on our pump house shed. It's been huge. It's been very nice to keep this stuff out of the way, but be able to access it when necessary. We do not have a handrail that's been built up here as of yet, just to keep everyone safe while they are up in the loft. For that reason, Melissa and I actually don't allow the kids to come up here. Once we get our staircase built, we will also be putting in a handrail. It'll just make us all feel a lot safer. It'll be peace of mind for Melissa and I, should the kids ever actually run up here for any reason.
This loft has been really great for helping us store all of the stuff that's really important to us that we don't want down on the floor where any rodents or anything like that can get into it. So we have stored a lot of our photos, photo albums, videos, anything that we want to keep and have in the big house, but we cannot fit into the tiny home. So we're able to put it up here, not worry about it, and then when the big house is done, we can move it all down and this can become the hay storage like it's intended to be.
Ugh.
Oh, that's nice.
Right, guys, there you go. Thank you so much for tagging along. That is a very quick tour of our tiny little living space. We are a family of 6. We are in 600-ish square feet. We are very happy here. This is very feasible. If there's anyone out there that's interested or curious about whether or not they can make this happen and do it for themselves, trust me, you can. Do the research and pursue it would be my words of encouragement to you.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to be an expert or a builder or anything like that. We had absolutely no experience. We had built a chicken coop and a rabbit hutch.
Once upon a time, I had difficulty doing things like assembling IKEA furniture. So, yeah,
Everybody
if I can do
has
this,
a hard time doing
so can you.
If you can put together IKEA furniture, you can definitely build a house.
Yeah, this is probably easier than that.
So yeah, I mean, there were a lot of nights where Jeremy was up researching the project the night before. We would be stopping mid-project and he'd be like, I gotta look this up real fast. So, I mean, we just learned as we went. We didn't have any house plans at all. We just were winging it and putting stuff where we thought it would fit and where we thought it would look good. Mm-hmm. So yeah, definitely anyone can do this. And if you are curious as to what this whole project costs us, we're going to be doing a complete price breakdown on our next video.
Also, if you're new to the channel and you want to go back and see how it is that we managed to put this place together step by step, we have a number of videos on how we managed to get that done.
Mm-hmm. So thank you guys so much for coming along on our tiny home tour. We have a lot more to come. We have an entire house to build, so stay tuned for that and we will catch you guys on the next one.
See you guys.